Good to have you along. Here it is, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you're making us a part of your day. So much to get to here on the show. Of course, the ever-changing, college football landscape. We'll get to that, and of course, it changes day to day. I had to laugh today, Ben, because you get stuff put out there, and it's like, well, you have to at least check it out because. I mean, who the heck knows at this point what's believable and what's not? So you had an account that got everybody in a tizzy today that apparently covers swimming, of all things, saying that the SEC was talking to a number of schools, named some schools, and I was like, yeah, they're working on the buyout of getting them. I'm like, come on. Let's just calm down and let this all.
He got some people up in August.
Oh yeah,
you got people.
You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to give them.
They are not negotiating. I like how I said that's ridiculous. No, nothing is outside of the realm of possibility. It's just not happening today.
But it's one of those things where it's like, given everything is happening, because if you would have, I mean, again, when it came out a week ago that Southern Cal and UCLA were going to the Big Ten, I'm sure 90% of the people, when they first read that, go, come on, let me check this out. This is some troll doing it.
They said the troll wasn't real, and when the troll walked off, he was like, "Let me check this real." And then not realizing that the troll is actually looking at you. Look at your phone. You look up and go, "So you thought I was lying?" He's like, "Well, dude, you cry wolf a lot." Yeah, well, I'm telling the truth this time.
Yeah, that's what And so the ever-changing landscape of college football. We'll talk to Matt Smith about that, southernpigskin.com. And Matt's a guy that has been kind of a traditionalist in the sense of he really enjoys the rivalries and the annual matchups and things of that nature. And he was not for the playoffs. And I know a lot of people say, well, maybe the playoffs are facilitating some of this because you want more teams involved. Consolidation means you get better teams in, et cetera. But we'll get his thoughts on that, on the changing landscape of college football, what it means to the future of college football. Matt, in full disclosure, Ben, is a Notre Dame graduate. So we'll ask him about Notre Dame's role coming up in whatever they decide to do. So we're looking forward to that. SEC Media Days are in 2 weeks. That's going to be wild. And more. I think I even brought this up. So if folks are interested, in take 3, we have a tennis question. Like, we never talk tennis on the show, and I will say we will do very little of it today. But I do have a tennis question in there, Ben. So that'll give you a little something to look ahead to when we come up on the show. But yeah, college football, man, it's going to stay front and center until we get games coming up. Hey, who's leaving? It's the Jerry Maguire moment. Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? And I think that's where we're at because I think there's 32 teams, right? 32 teams that feel good about the direction of college football.
They do. They have no complaint.
They feel real good.
Like, man, what's wrong with y'all? I mean, everything is fine.
Yeah, y'all are all singing doom and gloom.
We was already treading water. Now the boat is full of it, and we are sinking. I'm sorry that y'all on this nice cruise ship looking at us like, what's the problem? What do you mean what the problem is?
Everybody else is looking for a raft.
If a storm comes, they just tell y'all to go to your rooms. Us, we try to get off the water too late. We're done. No, Kevin, the thing about the college football, because let's call it, listen, you got college football and you got college athletics. College football runs everything in college athletics. I think what college football is finally realizing is, okay, everything has a moment in time. Everything has its place. And look at everything that's happened, though. College football just happens to be coming back. The game, it just happens to be coming back. NIL, transfer portal, the reputation and of these colleges and universities, the recognition of these head coaches. And now you're saying, okay, let's just call it what it is. There's a certain part of the country that college football, it matters. It just doesn't matter as much in other places. So what these teams are doing is saying, look at our average viewership compared to these other teams. Look at the top games, not just in 2021, 2020, 2019. Look at the draft.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be pointing to a certain part of the country. And they're saying, okay, because know this, I can guarantee you this. They're not going to do it. They've already talked to the TV people. They've already talked to the advertisers. They've already talked to the marketers. They've already said they're in line, right? So they said it's a go. Because once the money said it's a go, it's a go. I just think that now, Kevin, there are brands that are big brands, but big to you geographically is not big, in other places. So we're going to see this thing is far from over because certain people's phone is not going to ring. That's the problem. We're talking about 32 teams. There are going to be teams saying, hey, dude, did they call you yesterday? Yeah. Did you check your cell phone and everything's still working. We got the fax machine still working, email still working. They ain't biting. The mere fact that Rick Warren called Notre Dame. Notre Dame said, nope. That's a big slap in the face because UW in Oregon called you and you told them no. No, we went on Notre Dame. So now what, Rick? I just think that, Kevin, this thing is going to get even crazier because to those salvageable conferences, who do they get to make sure that we maintain who we are? We're not going to look how we've looked, but who do we get? So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I just think that, there's a conference out there that if you ever want to pull teams from or add teams to, it is called the Sun Belt. And I know people think, don't nobody want to play in the Sun Belt. No, you don't want to play against the Sun Belt. Because I know, Kevin, right now, which that's definitely a topic for down the road. I know it's about the Big Ten, ACC, SEC. All right.
Well, I mean, look,
we'll see.
The remnants of a disastrous. I mean, if the ACC gets shredded, it could be. It could be headed to some. Look, I just look at where this thing's going, and consolidation appears to be like it's just what's going to happen. And there's going to be some programs left on the outside. My thing has been that I find a interesting take is people have said this. Were the SEC just going to kick out Vanderbilt and Big Ten, Northwestern, and Rutgers in some of those schools? And I want to tell those people, just think about that for 2 seconds. Vanderbilt is going no place.
No.
Rutgers is going no place.
No.
Northwestern is going no place.
No.
You know why? Dubs. Teams need dubs. If you're going to form a super league, somebody's got to be the snack food. And unfortunately, it is Vanderbilt. W. Sorry, here's your check. You, in those mega conference situations, if you got to play somebody, congratulations, Vanderbilt. You became UAB. What do you mean? You're in the league. We are essentially paying you off with annual royalties, right? To take an L.
Yeah.
That's what occasionally you might beat one of us, but we are paying you money to take an L.
Listen, we all work for a major marketing company. You are last in sales every year. Yet, now you get to come to the meeting. They'll say, oh, let's get the meeting started off. Let's start from the bottom. Vandy, look, man, y'all, all right, let's move on. But check this out, though. Kevin, but you say this, though. What Vanderbilt lacks in football season, they make it up in the spring. Can Rutgers say that? No. Can Northwestern say so? What Vanderbilt isn't in football? They walking around with their chest out in baseball season. So because after football season, it's about who's getting the clicks, who's getting the viewership. SEC baseball, and I know Ole Miss won it this year and Mississippi State won last year. Yeah, but a lot of those kids understand you got. So I get that part, and like I said too, Kevin, you keep on coming back to the fact that look, everybody say, what about Vanderbilt? Look, sometimes it's just good to be a part of the family.
Sure,
you've been the doormat a long time, bro. We've been dealing with this a long time, homie. Long time, right?
I'm just saying it's just simple.
But at the end of the day,
I'm saying if you're Georgia and Alabama and all that, you're saying so if we kick out Vanderbilt and we bring in Clemson. It's like, okay, you have made the league really, really tough. Or we could just let Vandy stay, give them their $50 million, and hey, it's going to be 60-3.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it.
I mean, they want teams that can soak up L's.
That's the best position to be in is to be needed and not wanted. We need them. No. We want Clemson. We don't need Clemson needs us. We want them, right?
Right.
But at the same time, right? Don't listen. Clemson, South Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee.
But at the same time, Alabama's like, listen, we want a tough league so we can bring in the most money, but at the same time, we got to get some wins. We got to get some wins around here.
Clemson enjoy, Clemson and Miami and Florida State laugh. They got Vanderbilt. Alabama, whoa. That's my brother over there, man.
Yeah.
Like what you doing?
Vanderbilt is tough.
Yeah, hold on. Number one. Vanderbilt plays. Their academic standards are ridiculous. Well, what about when you guys play them? That's different. I can talk about my family members. You cannot. So sometimes, Kevin, it's almost good to already be in the club than to have to pay a membership. Because Clemson, The last, you know what makes Clemson a little less, of a team that the SEC wants? They want them. It's all about how recent you've done something. And I know they went 10-3. They didn't win. I'm telling you, all that stuff matters. Dabo don't like really almost not being a part of a conference. But it was always ACC don't got this, ACC don't got that. Hey man, if you say, hey man, bring your own guts. We love competition. Come on. Cause like we said, Kevin, that stuff sounds good. They'll say, hey, Greg Sankey is on the phone. I'm not here. You're on speaker. Like, he can hear you. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think this carousel is far from over.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of spokes in the wheel, and it's got a long ways to go. We got so much to get to here on 3 and Out. 912-342-7184. You can join us here on the program. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We are also streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, and on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out. All across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Thanks for making us a part of your day. We'll hear from Matt Smith coming up in just a little bit on the landscape of college football and where he sees this thing headed, because it's just been absolutely crazy. Of course, a couple of weeks from now, you'll be right in the throes of SEC Media Days. Greg Sankey, I cannot wait to hear his State of the Union, so to speak, State of the SEC, so to speak, because you have to imagine he's going to say, well, hey, Southern Cal, UCLA, they're coming in 2 years. Are you trying to move up that date for Texas and Oklahoma? Which, who knows? Could happen. And then you get down to the football side of things. I'm sure a lot of, Jimbo, Nick Saban stuff will be talked about. But at the end of it all, you got to figure out who's going to be the favorite. And through it all, Ben, I feel like the more things change, the more they stay the same. We're going to come out of SEC Media Days. It's going to be Bama and Georgia picked to win it here in 2022. Let's start there in the East. Who do you think is the biggest contender to Georgia in the East? And has that gap been closed at all by anybody in the East?
I think you made a great point before the show when you said it might be Georgia, but I think individual teams, nobody collectively. I think Tennessee and Florida got a shot. The reason why I say is this. The thing about Tennessee in that offense, right? They need to play complementary defense. You already know what Coach Heupel wants to do. You're talking about a guy like Hendon Hooker. The thing about a team like Florida is they're going to try to more establish the run. And they, even though it's not the same team, they have beaten Georgia as of recent. I don't think it's anybody individually, because it's the thing, Kevin. Georgia is doing it with a guy in Stetson Bennett who doesn't get enough credit for what he brings to the table, with a defense that is going to just be stifling. I just think that when you look at what Georgia does better than anybody else, Georgia never says we can't be beat. Georgia says if you make a mistake, you're gonna pay for it, and you might not get to recover from it. Florida is the biggest question mark because they got a guy in Anthony Richardson who is going to be his first real year taking the reins, being the starter from day one. They got some guys on defense, but they got a new head coach. Tennessee surprised everybody last year with how they finished the year, because they was supposed to be bottom feeders last year. End up having, I think a second or third best record in the conference last year. And I said by committee, I can't leave Kentucky out because they got Will Levis. They got they got the running game Rodriguez and company. I just think that one team by themselves, no, it's not possible, because you got to get it in recruiting. That's not there. Got to get it in talent. That's not there. Maybe scheme, maybe situational football, maybe, because this is the first time. This is the first time in a long time when you start talking about a team like Georgia, to where I'm not saying they got holes. I'm just saying they are replacing a lot. So we will see what happens.
Yeah, I said it was Georgia, and I do believe that. I think the biggest contender to Georgia in the East is themselves. And you could say, well, what does that mean? I obviously Vanderbilt's not there. I don't think Missouri's there. I don't think Kentucky's there. I don't think South Carolina's there. People will say, Tennessee, maybe Florida. I mean, Florida was competitive, Ben, for what? A quarter and 14 minutes? Right there.
About as bad as it can be at the end of a second quarter. Once the pick started rolling,
right.
Yeah.
But what have they done to close that gap? I don't know. They got a new coach coming in. You just don't know. Mean, you could say maybe it's for. I think Tennessee, while really good, and I think they've taken some steps forward. Have they closed in on Georgia? I don't know. I think they've closed in on everybody else in the league.
Yeah.
I think they've passed a lot of people in the league, and maybe they could be picked second in the East. But I think the biggest contender to Georgia would be Georgia's own enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying this because, again, Kirby's built a championship program. He comes out of that Alabama mold where the mindset is after you win a championship, it's not going to win another one, right? And sometimes we see programs where they finally get that championship. I don't want to say apathy. I don't know what, but you kind of have that big exhale as a program. You're like, oh, thank God it was 40 years and we got it. And do you come with that same consistency, that same energy every single game because you knew what it was, last year to get that? I don't know. So I think the biggest contender to Georgia might be them. I don't know that anybody else on the field of the East Unless Georgia
that's what I'm saying. When you talk about a team like Georgia, they finally made it over the hill, right? Like they finally got that breath of fresh air. Like, oh, okay. Like,
and I'm not saying that just for them. There's a lot of programs where that happens.
But when people ask why is Georgia, quote, and I mean disrespect, Alabama East, it's because isn't that what we said about Alabama? Do they want to win the SEC this year, or do they just want to compete for the national championship this year? Because with Alabama's competing against the Alabama tradition. I don't want to be that team if I'm Bryce Young, Will Anderson, because Tua, Mac Jones, and Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle, and so on and so forth, they got national championships. You don't want to be that team that do y'all didn't win a natty? Because what Alabama is doing is this. The first, Nick Saban is responsible for a lot of stuff in Alabama. The first ever Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram, Alabama. The second, you talking about Derrick Henry. Then you start talking about, Devonta Smith. Now you start talking about the first quarterback. So I think with them, it's more or less legacy building. And it's like, okay, who do we got to deal with? Used to be got to deal with Ohio State, got to deal with Oklahoma. Now we got to deal with Georgia. I just think that for a team like Georgia is, what is your encore year coming off a national championship? Because Kevin, the hardest thing to do is a repeat, and that's in any sport. That's college, pro. It's hard to do it. And I think with Georgia is because they understand what it takes to. It's one thing to understand what it takes to do it, but until you've done it, you don't know if your methods are working. Well, it's working. Whatever Kirby Smart is doing up there is working. Now it's, hey, how do we not have a letdown? How do we not have a Tennessee letdown, or a Florida letdown, or a South Carolina letdown? Because if that happens, it's because Georgia has earned the benefit of the doubt. But Georgia doesn't want to do the Clemson thing. We pencil Clemson in every year to the college football playoff until they don't. And how quick we forget about a team when they was at the top of the hill, just like the Alabamas of the world. So you are right when you say Georgia is its biggest opponent. Two things: Georgia and injuries, because you're replacing a lot. 15 guys to the NFL draft. Now, I'm not saying you decimated like the 2019 LSU team, but that's a lot. Buckets Award winner, and
sure,
Outland Trophy, things of that nature. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it definitely is Georgia.
On the Western side, obviously everybody's going to talk about Nick Saban and Alabama. Jimbo Fisher's made a lot of statements. I heard Christian talking about this on Second Down. You may get Alabama once. Very rarely do you get them back to back, right? I mean, so Jimbo got him last year.
Yep.
Are you going to get him again in 2022? To me, that's the only way Texas A&M is a contender. I'll hold off judgment on Brian Kelly. I think LSU's a ways away. Arkansas, I think they're a nice program. Are they a contender to win it? No. Same thing about Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. I think Mississippi State's still, a ways away. But I think you start, and I think Auburn, who knows? I mean, with what happened in the offseason, if they get off to a rough start, is Brian Harsin going to be there?
Yeah.
Come into the year. But then I look at Alabama, I think if anybody's going to do it, it's Texas A&M, and I don't know, as I look at it right now, if anybody's going to be like, I think when that tally comes out, it's going to be heavy Bama win it, Texas A&M 2, and then if you look at the vote totals, probably a huge gap to whoever it is that's going to be in third place.
This is how I break down the West. I got three categories. I got should be, needs to be, and hopes to be. Should be Texas A&M. It should be Texas A&M. Hope, that will be LSU. They hope is LSU, right? I mean, but I just think that, I'm sorry, I said should be, needs to be, hopes, but should be Texas A&M, needs to be LSU. Because Kevin, this is the thing about Brian Kelly, right? Brian Kelly needs to understand there are no Mulligan years anymore. You got to come out the gate.
Yeah.
Now, hopes to be is Auburn, because the thing about Auburn is Coach Harsin, this is one of the craziest off seasons you ever seen. He don't want to be there. They don't want to be there. They want him to be there. People leave. I mean, Bo Nix goes to, Oregon. You still got Tank Bigsby. You lose both coordinators. It's crazy. Now, it should be Texas A&M, like I said. Needs to be LSU, because Brian Kelly, I'm sorry. There aren't too many jobs in the country you're going to walk away from called Notre Dame. People don't walk away from those jobs. They get fired. He walked away. Now, he's getting more money. I get it. But you think winning the LSU going to be easy to do in Notre Dame? You're in the SEC West. And for those people who don't understand how hard what I'm saying to LSU is, that 2019 team, that is called an outlier. The last time LSU had beat Alabama was, I don't know, 7, 8 years prior. So that doesn't happen that much. Beating Alabama all the time is done by, I don't know, nobody.
Right.
So should be, like I said, should be Texas A&M. You know, so it needs to be LSU. But if a Coach Harsin, you know, they hope it is Auburn, because that's what we're used to, right? You know, let's call it what it is, Kevin. This Texas A&M, LSU stuff, this stuff is new. It used to be Auburn, Alabama area. They go back and forth. But Nick Saban changed everything. But because of recruiting, because of perception, it should be Texas A&M, because they making the most noise. Brian Kelly, outside of, you know, dancing with recruits and changing his accent, it ain't much to talk about the LSU, right?
That's right.
The thing about Auburn is a team, Kevin, that when you don't expect them to do anything, they surprise you. And when you expect them to ball, they don't. Texas A&M is that, hey, man, we won in recruiting. We making declarations in 2021, and we living up to them. We called the controversy, talking trash in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk about us, and then you got recruiting videos with the freaking, I don't know who it was, strength coach, assistant coach saying, and they're paying you a lot of money to come here. Oh, and there it is. So for me, Kevin, I hope it is Texas A&M, because that just seems right? Like Auburn's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. Like Auburn has earned their place in the SEC West. So is LSU. Texas A&M, I'm sorry, you're still guests. You're here a lot more than everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
You haven't earned a shot at the big boy table yet.
Because this thing, because Kevin, it's like this. This is what Texas A&M is potentially. When Peyton Manning used to first go up against Tom Brady, it wasn't a rivalry because Tom Brady always won. Teddy Bruschi, they're like, "What's you mean a rivalry, man? That was a good game, and we won." y'all looking at the game, who won the game? Now, when Peyton Manning finally wins, they go, "All right, Peyton, welcome to the show," because you know how it is, Kevin. People look at that almost winning. It's called losing. Right. So for Texas A&M, can they do the unthinkable? Can they beat Alabama in back-to-back? Because once again, remember, certain teams have the illusion of winning the national championship. Other teams can win it. Texas A&M, I'm sorry. It's going to take a lot for y'all to win the West. But beating Alabama definitely, oh, man, sometimes just being in the psyche of people's minds talking about what you did, because Texas A&M will beat Alabama and lose to Mississippi State. So I don't know what we're talking about with this Texas A&M team, but Texas A&M won, LSU 2, Auburn.
I mean, if Texas A&M beats Alabama again, as you said, has a game that is very disappointing on their schedule, a lot of people will be going, how many times can you just, at least while Nick Saban's there, think you're going to just keep beating Alabama and not go to the SEC championship game? I think that's what they want. Got to do that. You've beaten Alabama. Got to get to the SEC championship game in the not too distant future. We got more to come. Matt Smith, speaking of things changing around college football, he'll join us. We'll get his thoughts on the direction of college football, where it's headed. And as a Notre Dame alum, what does he think the Irish are going to do when it's all said and done? He'll join us next here. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, thanks for making us a part of your day. College football just changing by the minute, by the hour. And joining us here, southernpigskin.com covers college football, covers the SEC. Matt Smith joining us here on 3 and Out. Matt, welcome. Obviously, Southern Cal and USC shook everything up last week. How surprised were you at just that? And their decision to go clear across the country and play in a conference?
I guess maybe not to the extent I was a year ago with Texas and Oklahoma. I think this one's more seismic. I mean, it felt a bit like just a creep when they grabbed Texas and Oklahoma. They were already in Texas, obviously. Oklahoma's a border state. The Big 12's been kind of tenuous for the better part of a decade now. So I don't think that was as seismic. It was still surprising because every time the Big 12 kind of got to the edge of the cliff, that I didn't and pulled back and went on. But I think now that this is truly a nationwide conference going from the Northeast hubs of New York and Washington all the way out to Los Angeles, this feels like any semblance of geography that we had. It was getting funnier and funnier kind of by the year. You know, with Missouri and the SEC East and West Virginia and in the Big 12, now that it's completely out the door. So I think the ramifications of the USC-UCLA move are much more significant than Texas and Oklahoma were, but I was probably still more surprised by Texas and OU last summer. You figured at some point USC-UCLA would want to move, just you didn't know if it would be the Big 10 or the SEC and when that would take place. I thought it might take till the middle of the decade to happen. But not quite the shock, I would say, of that July day at Media Days a year ago when we found out Texas and OU were headed to the SEC.
And man, when you take a guy like Lincoln Riley, obviously he was a headliner at Oklahoma. You see what he did with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and so on and so forth. He goes to USC, and everybody was like, he's running from the SEC. We got to know at least some. He had some insight on the fact that they weren't going to stay in the Pac-12, especially with a certain part of the country just being, really irrelevant when it comes to college football playoff contention.
You would think that, Ben. I mean, you talk to people who kind of have had some involvement in the conference realignment process, and they always claim how tight the circle is. Like it's presidents, maybe some big donors, and sometimes the athletic director is even late to the party. So I don't know about that. It seems like that, but why would you? If he was truly running from the SEC, why are you now going to want to deal with Ohio State if he knew at the time that this was coming? Because they're pretty much just as big of a giant as Alabama and Georgia would have been in the SEC. Probably not quite the depth in the Big Ten, but still a super heavyweight that you did not have in the Pac-12 when he took that job and supposedly wanted to be the big dog in his league was the thought process at the time as why he turned down LSU and went to USC. Maybe it was because he thought the NIL opportunities would be better in Los Angeles, and so far he's kind of been proven right there. So I don't know. I think that, Ben, but just from people, again, who have dealt with this process over the last 10 and 12 years in different circumstances, that circle is pretty small, and coaches generally know not much before the general public does that this is going down.
Matt Smith, southernpigskin.com, joining us here on 3 and Out. Now, since that time, all of last week, Matt, focus has turned to Notre Dame. I know you are intimately familiar with Notre Dame as an alum there. What does Notre Dame at their core want to do? Reportedly, they said no to the Big Ten. What do you think they want to do?
They're trying to hold out as long as they can with independence. And to me, the only things that would drive them to a conference are they need access to the college football playoff by being in a conference, which the 12-team model has been rumored out there for 2026, I suppose, at this point. That would allow them to get in there without being in a conference, so they were fine with that. Or, of course, the collapse of the ACC. And I think, 8 days ago, we didn't think the ACC was on the verge of collapsing, and now it might be. So between that, and they've always sacrificed some money to stay independent. What they get from NBC and a little bit from the ACC as kind of being a satellite member is certainly pales in comparison to what the Big Ten and SEC are getting currently. Now, when the new TV contracts kick in, SEC starting in 2024, Big Ten, we'll see where those numbers land starting next year. The money just might be too great to say, guys, what are we doing here? We're sacrificing all this just to stay independent, and incrementally they've made some changes that have irritated some fans, whether it be even adding a jumbotron and field turf, or doing the ACC arrangement. They've taken away some of those things that fans claim make Notre Dame Notre Dame. But in reality, it's not a big deal or anything. And I think going to the Big Ten may make some sense. The question is, I guess to me, I think North Carolina might be the one to move first, because I think they're the one team aside from Notre Dame who they could call the Big Ten today, say we want in, and they'd say absolutely. They could call the SEC today and say we want in, and the SEC would say absolutely. I'm not sure there's another team out there where both conferences would say yes, absolutely, we want you. In terms of like Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Oregon, like I'm not sure the SEC wants to go. I know TV markets aren't as big of a deal anymore with so many people cutting the cord, but I'm not sure Clemson, Florida State, Miami are all attractive to the SEC. I think they would want either North Carolina and Duke or North Carolina and Virginia, maybe Virginia Tech. My hunch is North Carolina and Virginia. And if you're North Carolina, I think you have to decide, hey, do we want Duke to go with us? Because at that point, I think the Big Ten would probably have more interest. Duke and the SEC might have more interest in Virginia. So I think Notre Dame can probably hold out a bit longer just because of the leverage they have. And again, I think North Carolina has close to that, maybe not quite that. They may be able to dictate kind of who wants to go with them. Is it important to them to have Duke in their conference? Then maybe the Big Ten is the preferred approach. Or if they're okay, then I think the SEC may be more interested in Virginia. So I'm kind of watching North Carolina, actually. I know there's so many rumors about the rest of the Pac-12. And of course, Notre Dame since last Thursday has been the big talking point. But the one school I'm thinking who could drive the rest of this and maybe save or end the ACC, I think it's North Carolina in all of this.
And man, even sticking with that leverage, I mean, obviously I don't think there is a team in college football or in college that has more leverage than Notre Dame. It's interesting that you use UNC being like a close second. What team out there, you talked about Clemson and Miami and Florida State not having the same leverage. Is there a team out there that perception-wise, they got a big brand, but reality-wise, they might be on the outside looking in if this dismantling of the ACC or, maybe the Pac-12 continues to happen?
Yeah, I think it could be the ones I mentioned, because I just don't think the SEC has much interest in Florida State and Miami unless the Big Ten, absolutely gets North Carolina and or Duke and or Virginia, and maybe even Virginia Tech might be a better option for the SEC. I know Clemson's kind of a giant right now, but there's still a bit of new money. They have the flagship school in that state already, both in South Carolina and in Florida. And I don't think the Big Ten, I think the Big Ten of those three teams, the one that would interest them the most is Miami. Being a private school, probably a little higher on the academic side of things, a big market, which obviously interested them in their last round. Their last two rounds of expansions have all been big markets. So Clemson and Florida State obviously have been giants in this sport. They've won 3 national titles in the last 9 years, I guess. But I'm just not sure, given what the Big Ten and the SEC prefer and where they already are, that they could get boxed out somehow and maybe have to end up in kind of that second-tier conference with some of the Big 12 teams. And no one knows where this is going, but I think maybe the perception of Clemson and Florida State, because of their on-field product over the last 10 to 20 years, it may enhance their reputation compared to what the actual conferences would think of those two programs.
Matt Smith, SouthernPigskin.com, joining us here. And Matt, where do you think ultimately this does go? You said nobody really knows. I mean, a lot of people say, well, if you're going to add another team, they better bring in 70, 80, $100 million, rumored what, the Big Ten schools are going to pay out per school. I mean, do these conferences want to go to 20? Do they want to do the P2? And as you said, everything's kind of on the table because Ben and I joke all the time. I mean, in college athletics right now, everybody's loyal till the phone rings.
Yeah. And again, I think Notre Dame would prefer the current approach, but if the ACC falls apart, then they lose their home for all their other sports. I know those don't matter a ton in all this, but that was still important for them, and the main reason as to why they did the ACC deal back in 2012. So I think if North Carolina is comfortable standing pat, I think Notre Dame would probably feel the same way. And at that point, I don't think there's anyone else where Greg Sankey or Kevin Moore would feel like, we have to go get this team. Like, we really need Oregon in this league. That's a huge fish out there, and we can't let the other conference get Oregon. I don't think there's anyone left. So if North Carolina's comfortable with where they are at now, I think Notre Dame's okay because that would keep the ACC intact. So if I had to make a guess, I think we stay with the 16 in both conferences through at least the end of the current playoff era into 2025, 2026. It's not sustainable going forward, but knowing how slow Notre Dame tends to move with stuff, I think they prefer to hold on a little bit longer. Whether that's in their best interest or not, I don't know. It almost certainly is not financially, but clearly, if financial motives were the number one driver there, they would already be in a conference. So I think we'll get a couple years of 16 in both leagues. A lot of people will argue we'll never play a season with 16 in the SEC. They'll make a move to have more teams in by the time Texas and OU get going in the league. But I'm going to say it slows down just a bit. I know it's been quick with two huge changes over the past 12 months. But again, I think it comes down to North Carolina and, of course, Notre Dame, what they want to do. If they can keep the ACC intact, I don't think, again, there's another program out there that either the Big Ten or the SEC will say, we got to go get this team, so the other one doesn't.
And, Matt, with so much talk about, the transfer portal, that's going to be the end of it. Or NIL, that's going to be the end of it. And here we are with these super conferences are already taking shape in front of us. Who would have ever thought it would have been conference realignment that's going to really have people, questioning their fandom? And I get it. When you got these potentially a big, too big, the power to the P2, could it be a NFL junior, a AFC, NFC version in college football if it comes down to two major conferences, even though the other conferences are going to do all they can to salvage themselves?
It's hard not to see potentially something like that, especially if this 12-team playoff kind of falls apart and we end up with, a 6-team SEC playoff and a 6-team Big Ten playoff, and then we play a championship game in January like we do. I don't think that's far-fetched. But yeah, for the sport as a whole collapsing, it's going to change if this all does go down. I think you'll get different types of fans who, the group who really love the mystique, the uniqueness, the quirkiness, the stupid polls, and why is some sports writer in Dubuque, Iowa, determining whether Florida State or Alabama is number one. That's silly, but a lot of us love that. That's kind of the way our generation. That's kind of what we grew up with, and even though it was frustrating at times, I think a lot of us yearn for those days. But for the guy in Philadelphia who concerned about the Eagles first and foremost, he wants to see Michigan play USC. He doesn't yearn for Michigan, Wisconsin, or games like that we grew up with, the regionalism. He wants the big brands playing each other, and those fans will turn college football more so than they do currently. So will probably be a shift in the types of fans, the level of fandom. It's not going to kill the sport. We see every Saturday just how wonderful it is, and it'll be the same this year. We'll forget about all this crap in September and October when we get some of those wild Saturdays, and we'll love it all over again. But then we'll go through the off season, and it'll be craziness, and we'll swear it off. So I think there are some changes to that extent where it becomes more of an NFL-type fandom, which I think stings for me personally. But, the decisions are being made in Los Angeles and in Bristol, Connecticut, and in Birmingham and Chicago to some extent as well. That's what's driving the sport, not necessarily your average college football fan in flyover states. So that's just the reality of it right now. But I do think that will change going forward, whether it's just the 16 or if we do go to kind of the 20, 24-team leagues and have an AFC, NFC-esque structure.
Matt Smith, SouthernPigskin.com, our guest here on 3 and Out. Matt, we appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Always fun, guys. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Matt Smith joining us here on 3 and Out. We'll come back with more all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. We will have more on college football as we go throughout the show. Obviously, Matt touched on a number of things there when we had him on, Ben, but certainly, as he said, you're going to sacrifice some things, and we'll talk about this. You're going to sacrifice some things, the regionality, some of the things like that, for mega conferences and whatever this thing ends up being.
I just think at the end of the day, Kevin, there are going to be some hard decisions going to have to be made, and some of them going to have to be, do we want to fight hard to keep this conference together, or do we have to settle for less? See.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, is the Pac-12, given all the roaming eyes in 2025, is it even look the same? Well, look at that. We got more to come. Take 3 around the corner. When we come back, it is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out. Glad you're making us a part of your day, Kevin Thomas. He is Ben Troop. Glad you're here on the show. We'll look at college football as we go throughout. We talked about that with Matt Smith. What do you want to hold on to if you're a college football fan? Are you just a guy that wants to see big matchups, or are you a fan who fell in love with what college football is all about, which is regional rivalries, backyard brawls, big brother, little brother, fist fights on the gridiron, that kind of stuff? We'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But, Ben, it is 4 o'clock. We have to take 3 here on 3. It's part of the rules. We've got to do it. All right, take 1. This is where I said we'll talk tennis. So we don't talk a lot of tennis. I know there's a lot of people like, so you watch tennis? I'm like, I know enough.
When Kevin Thomas hit you with the very brief, I can give you the time. I can give you the year.
I watch more tennis than soccer. How about that? Is that fair enough?
And I can agree. I do watch more tennis than soccer. Yes.
Is that fair enough? Like, I get it. I watch, like, there's only so many things I can devote my time to. I'm just going to be honest.
When the World Cup, when Atlanta announced, when it got announced that Atlanta's going to be a host city for the World Cup, everybody, Kevin's like,
traffic's going to be a nightmare. All right. So we're talking tennis here in kind of the abstract. Rafael Nadal was going for the Grand Slam.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He's there at Wimbledon. Well, today he withdrew. He had an oblique muscle situation going on, and he withdrew. Well, he was into the semifinals. He was going to play Nick Kyrgios. I was going to butcher his last name. So now he gets a free pass to the finals, or they call it a walkthrough. So because Nadal's not playing. Do you like the free pass? I just want from an abstract standpoint, because in sports, a lot of times we're taught to say, hey, you're going for the championship. I don't want to be given the championship, right? I don't want to get to the championship because, something strange happened. So I know Nick Kyrgios is a tremendous tennis player in his own right and has earned his right to the semifinals, but because Nadal can't go, he's on to the Wimbledon finals through the walkthrough. Do you like that?
I do. And this is why. I think sometimes in sports, we don't understand how hard it is to advance in sports, to make it to be a pro in whatever level of sports we want to be be a pro in. And Kevin, this happens a lot. Not necessarily in the semifinals, but it's in the rules. They didn't make up something for Nadal. And the thing is, right? It doesn't mean that whoever he plays in the finals means he's going to beat him. It just means he gets a little bit more rest. But this is within the rules. I want to say Serena Williams, I think she withdrew in Wimbledon or something like that. It happens. It's rare. But Kevin, think about this. You finally make it to you are a professional tennis player, which means Novak Djokovic or Rafael Nadal, they're somewhere in the wings because they are the barometer these days.
Sure.
Take nothing away, from guys previous. And you finally make it to Nadal. It's already scary enough. Like, as a competitor, I got Rafael Nadal. So sleep the night before, it's probably very, very, very scarce. If he goes out, number one, if you've ever seen Rafael Nadal play, it's going to have to take something of this magnitude to get him to withdraw. But I got here fair and square. I beat everybody to make it to the semis. He withdrew. I'm going to go to the finals. Doesn't mean I'm going to beat. Listen, it doesn't mean I was going to beat Rafael Nadal, and it doesn't mean I'm going to beat the person I'm going to play in the finals, but I was one of the last four men standing. So, yes, Kevin, there are things in life sometimes that you cannot explain, but you will take it.
I understand that. Look,
and it's not going to be, quote, is it going to be a real woman? Yes. If he does go on to win, yes, because he controlled all he can control. So I just think that while it is a rarity, Kevin, number one, he's going to be able to talk about, he's going to be the one guy to say, yeah, man, I'm the guy who, he had to withdraw when we was in the semis. But it's so rare in sports to have, quote, somebody has to do it because they can't go forward. But hey, it happened. And I just think that puts actually more pressure on him to actually win the final because he gets, because obviously he gets more time off. So you can't win sometimes no matter what you do. But hey, man, you got that fair and square. It is a rarity in sports, but it does happen.
I just, again, it's one of those things where you feel weird about it. I know you as an athlete say, don't feel weird about it. That's the rules. That's how things go. I still got, even a couple of years ago during COVID, right? I think Georgia Tech was in the ACC semifinals and Virginia had X number of COVID cases, and they couldn't play the game. So Georgia Tech got a pass into the finals. Now, at the time, Virginia was, I think, the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament. And they just didn't have to play, jumped ahead. And I was like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. You did end up winning the ACC. You had to go do it on the floor.
Yeah.
And, Nick Kyrgios will have to do it on the court. He's going to have to play. But almost like, I mean, you bypass one of the toughest guys just to because of something that was kind of out of control. It's just a weird thought.
It is.
Like, hey, I'm in the finals.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, Rafael Nadal is one of the best in the world. I know he's hurt, but it's like, you just got slid into the finals.
Again, like guys like Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, the guys. Once again, it's not so much I watch tennis than I watch them. Because if I watch tennis, I'm gonna watch whomever playing. I'm not watching whomever. I will watch. Rafael Nadal is the king of clay. He's known as being the king of clay. Novak Djokovic, I mean, the guy that just has the poker face. No matter when you play him, you could be up, 2-0. He'll come back and beat you. But yes, man, shout out to the young man going to the finals. Listen, man, it's how you get there. He still earned it the hard way.
Yeah, look, I that's just one of those where I know if this happened in the second round, I'm probably not as aggrieved about it. It's just when you get a pass into the finals, I think that's where I'm like, man, that's where it just kind of gets conflicted for you, where it's like, don't want a pass to the finals. I mean, but as a competitor, I guess, hey, them's the rules. You take it. All right, moving along. Take 2. Tiger Woods is out there playing friendly golf rounds with Rory over there in Scotland. Set to play at St. Andrews next week for the Open Championship, the British Open, whatever you wish to call it. A lot of talk about Tiger Woods. He put out a statement saying, look, or not a statement, he said in an interview, hey, I want to play St. Andrews, a classic course, while I can still play at a high level. Of course, he doesn't play hardly at all as it is right now. He's talking about, hey, I didn't play the U.S. Open so I could get my body in shape to play this. How many more tournaments do you think Tiger Woods has in him? I'm not talking about wins. I'm just talking about just playing in general.
I'd say 5. Because, Kevin, this is the thing, right? Tiger Woods has experienced what everybody experienced. Father time. Tiger Woods' life now should be simply, hey, man, I'm learning how to manage my injuries now, but he's trying to still compete competitively. And what we see is not, when you play golf, whatever the elements are, rain, heat, walking those courses, you got to deal with it. Well, that's not favorable to a guy who has a bad knee, who's dealing with injuries, who I don't know how much golf he's played, but I know he's played a lot of it. And how much golf does he play to even get himself back into golf shape to even go out there? Tiger Woods is trying to live up to the persona of him. I know earlier, Kevin, we said that Georgia's biggest opponent is Georgia. Tiger Woods' biggest opponent is Tiger Woods.
Sure.
It's not about who he's playing against. He's won almost every course he goes, oh, man, Tiger Woods done won his 6, 7 times. He's done it all in the sport. It's Tiger Woods is doing that. I don't want to be dude, your legacy is cemented. And that's the thing. And I got to say this. Just say he goes out and wins a tournament. And if we're being now, I get the Masters a couple of years. I get that. That's different. To me, you're supposed to drop the mic right then because no one ever thought nobody would even touch Jack. You're not even going to get close to that. And it's almost like, man, I'm right there. Yeah, but dude, even if you good, you got what? I'm not counting your money. $800 million. I turned down the Live Tour because I'm good. I'm not, And I think that for Tiger Woods is it worth what I got to put my body through to even do it? Because just say he does go in the tournament. Just say he finishes in the top 5. Behind the scenes, they're like, dude, what did you re-aggravate? So for me, Kevin. Listen, I'm not Tiger Woods, not by far, but I just think that certain things, while it's worth it to you, is it worth it in the long run for what you? So I say 5 only because he seems to only be playing in majors because he got, look, man, my body just won't allow me to do it.
Yeah, I think that's it. And again, it's one of those things where I don't know how long he wants to play, but Ben, we see this in sports a lot where you see guys who are at the peak of their game. And as you have said a number of times on the show, Father Time is undefeated. But people look at Willie Mays, one of the greatest baseball players to do it. End of his career, he's out there looking like a shell of himself. Peyton Manning, he won a Super Bowl. But a lot of people say, man, that last year with Denver, you were
It's
A
bad.
dude wearing 18. That's
you
like
need a Brock Osweiler to help you in certain games to even make it through.
Like you were trying to will yourself to get through, and you were not the Peyton Manning that we saw at the peak game. I think it's the same thing with Tiger Woods. Like, Tiger Woods is the most unbelievable golfer we have ever seen. I will say that. Nobody in this office thought he was going to win a Masters except for Christian. And Christian is a dyed-in-the-wool Tiger Woods fan. And he came out and he does things that don't make sense. I'm going to say I'm going to go under even 5. I'm going to say just a couple more because he wants to play at a high level. But I think also, from the money standpoint, you got a son that's obviously pretty good at golf that is going to be entering that phase of, top high school and collegiate golf at some point in the not too distant future.
Yes.
I just wanted the competitive juices there, but also I think most people don't want to see Tiger Woods go out there, use it all up to make a cut, and then it's like, well, now I got nothing left. And I think that's what we're talking about.
And I got to say this too. The mind, and I mean this like very, very respectfully, your mind is the last thing to go. Your body, right? In your mind, we all think, oh man, I'm telling you, dude, like, just because you got yourself back in physical shape doesn't mean you're back in golf. And I got to say this about Tiger. Once Tiger Woods gets on the golf course and he's just a big name, he's not the guy anymore. He's Tiger. Like, Tiger Woods in the tournament, man, you playing for second. Like, oh man, Tiger Woods in it? Is Tiger going to play? Yeah. Once that doubt from the other golfers goes away, that's what Tiger Woods is. I mean, the greatest to ever do it when they step out there. When Michael Jordan step out on the court, Mike Tyson step in the ring. Dale Earnhardt Sr., he steps on the it's like, because these dudes can win anytime they're there. With Tiger Woods is saying, look, man, it's almost like, I don't know who could tell him to say, look, if I'm your caddy, man, I'm gonna support you. But you want me to, but as your friend, like, take the truth? You want me to take the truth? Yeah. Bruh, listen. Every time you swing, I see that and then you can do all that to barely make the cut. So I don't know. But
I'm kind of like you. Outside of winning, I don't know what he has left to prove to anybody other than hey, I want to come back from this and play at a high level.
The mere fact that, listen, the last time I seen Mike Tyson in the ring, he was fighting Roy Jones Jr. Both of them passed their prime, right? Both of them. But they also are boxers, so they know how to take care of each other. I seen Roy Jones kind of hit Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. They know each other, right? They like, and let's call it here. This old man boxing ain't nothing finna really happen. Like, they tired as hell.
Yeah.
With Tiger Woods, dude, that guy's 21. That golfer there's 22. You're old enough to be. You used to be the youngest. Now, dude, you're old enough to be these dudes' dad, literally. and I mean that respectfully. As a guy that had to interview current student athletes in college, I get some, yes, sir. Don't call me. Sorry, sir. When were you born? 2002. You were born in 2000. So you see, so that's what, and that's like Kevin. Once again, if Tiger wins, it's a big article. It's a big deal. But everything has 48 hours up. Move on. Sports come at you so fast now. It's like, because college football, they ain't letting nobody dominate these headlines but them these days.
Yeah, don't sit too long in college football. The headlines will change in a few minutes. All right, moving on. Finally, take 3, Ben. Today is National Macaroni Day. People love macaroni. Apparently, according to my in-depth research I performed, it is the most popular pasta in the United States. But today's question, is it really only good with cheese on it?
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna have to say yes. This is why. Everybody,
and I don't mean Velveeta either.
Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. So you Velveeta eaters, stop putting it online. That's embarrassing. Okay.
Top 5 cheeses.
That's ridiculous. I'm gonna say this about macaroni, right? Most people only associate macaroni with macaroni and cheese. Like, when you start talking about you get tuna salad, everybody ain't eating that. Oh man, you got all the
macaroni salad.
Yeah, macaroni salad, or seafood salad. Listen to me. If you put all these macaroni dishes right beside each other, and you took a child, not an adult, a child, what is that? I don't know what those are, but I want some of this mac and cheese. There are certain people that don't even know that you can put macaroni on other stuff. You can put cheese other than cheese on it. So
right.
Listen to you, people that do everything. Oh, I can do a lot with mac and cheese. Let me tell you something. I've been eating macaroni and cheese a long time.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen macaroni and other stuff. I get it. Some people add it to their soup or whatever. It is made to have cheese. Yeah, Kevin. People do all kind of crap. in college days.
I guess maybe in the certain Italian soups there is some macaroni.
Yeah.
Okay, I get.
But what I'm saying is, though, Kevin, you know just like I know. Kevin,
cheese.
You know what it is. We know in certain holidays, the macaroni it might be gone because we're gonna put the cheese on. And
no, I hear you.
But Kevin made a good point though. Side note, you think Velveeta's a top 5 cheese?
Yeah. No,
we got some baby powder.
Yeah, we got some other issues. I know. I think macaroni is good it's good with 2 things: cheese or some glitter and some paste and kid art. That's about all it is.
I will say that is
like every kid's ever gone to school. It's arts and crafts time. What are we gonna do? We're gonna glue some macaroni to this construction paper, and you're gonna take it home. We spelled out "Dad" in dried macaroni noodles. And we're going to give it to him for Father's Day. Thank you, son. That was so thoughtful.
Daddy, what you going to do with it? I'm going to drop it in some of this hot water. I'm going to put it in this.
No, all right. That's take 3, but I got to end take 3 on a down note, Ben, because it is National Macaroni Day. My 2 children will not eat it.
What? Who introduced them to it? What happened?
No, okay. I don't know why they won't eat it. Like, we don't do the box stuff. Like, the only times we have it at my house is when it's like Thanksgiving and somebody makes it, like homemade style with cheese and all that on it. Won't eat it, to my knowledge, and I promise you to this day, my oldest son is going to be 13 soon. He has eaten macaroni and cheese 1 time in his life. I think it was when he was like 6 months old. You start working him on the baby food. We got the baby macaroni. He has not eaten it since, and my youngest son will not eat it. I'm like, but you like cheese. You eat dry spaghetti, like I say dry, but like it's cooked, but you eat plain spaghetti noodles. Like it's the same thing, but with cheese on it. He's like, not doing it.
And
they won't eat it.
Understand the whole, my daughter's like that with the plain. You just want plain spaghetti. Yeah, I don't want nothing on. What?
Yeah, he just eats a plain. But I'm like, it's cheese on top of that. I don't understand why you don't eat that, but neither one of them will eat macaroni and cheese. It's the oddest thing. Doesn't matter who makes it. It's not like, oh, their recipe stinks, not eating it. No, nobody's not eating anybody's mac and cheese. I don't get it. I told them both, you're the only 2 children in America that will not eat mac and cheese. Y'all are weird. I told them that. I was like, y'all are weird.
Well, listen, as long as it's coming from you, because at the end of the day, me and Kevin, we don't give our participation trophies.
That's right.
If my children, neither one of my daughters eat peanut butter, they will like, oh no. But we'll tear Reese cup up.
What's the difference?
And I'm like, no, that's different. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, that kind of stuff makes sense. And well, Teddy, please, give me that Reese cup. I got peanut butter in it. Yeah, but you can't taste it.
No, that's gonna say.
That's all you're tasting.
That's 100%.
All I'm saying is, right, our kids do some stuff and they won't eat peanut butter and test. Hey, man.
You barely even know a Reese's cup has chocolate on top.
Yeah, ain't lying. I said, listen, man.
I don't get it.
Now they got the all peanut butter Reese cup. Whoop! Take me home.
Oh, I need to get involved with that.
I'm gonna have to bring one in tomorrow.
We got more to come. It's 3 and Out. Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out on this Thursday. Braves and Cardinals coming up later tonight. Ben, college football, we talked about it a lot with Matt Smith earlier in the show, and so much, change going on. What's worth saving in the sport of college football? And I hear this from a lot of different people. Maybe there's rivalry games that are worth saving. There are, regionality situations that are worth saving. But in a expanded, congealed college football, just simply mean give me big matchups. And there are people, as Matt Smith said, look, there's people to whom that is very appealing. I don't care that Ohio State and Southern Cal have anything in common. They're two great teams and they're playing each other. The end. I don't care about Michigan State. I don't care about Wisconsin, Minnesota, and, kind of the backyard brawl aspect of that. I don't care about that. But there's a lot of people like, oh, give me Paul Bunyan's axe and give me the old Oaken bucket trophy and all that kind of the egg, the golden egg for the Egg Bowl, all that kind of stuff that makes college football a whole lot of fun. And just from your standpoint, Ben, what is worth saving in college football? Because everybody says this is the way we're going, right? P2 looks like it's going to happen, even if it stays at 16 apiece a bit. You're talking about two conferences when they get renegotiated TV deals that are going to be exponentially wealthier than everybody else in college football. And it's not even going to be, it's really not close now, but it is really not going to be close once that happens. What is worth saving in your estimation?
I do think certain rivalry games are worth saving. And I'm talking about not just regional appeal, but national appeal. So, I mean, when you start thinking about, Texas, Oklahoma, all right, it still has the national appeal. We know who's going to win it. Sorry, Texas, we know Oklahoma's going to win it, but it has national appeal. I hate to give them credit, but Ohio State, Michigan does have national appeal.
Sure.
So you keep that going. There are going to be certain ones that might not have the national appeal, but when you start talking about two big, like the Egg Bowl, it might not have the national appeal, but it's going to have it. I think it's worth saving. The Iron Bowl is worth saving. Florida, Georgia is worth saving. Now, this is the thing, Kevin. When you start talking about what's worth saving in college football, it ain't much, because we get caught up in certain things in our area of the country. What the Big Two is trying to do is trying to make college football have national appeal, because we're the two biggest ones. That's what the NFL does. That's why we got NFC, AFC, national appeal. Got it. I know it's north, south, east, and west, breaking it down, what may have you, but I do think that certain games are worth saving. I will say this though. You said something, Kevin. I don't like neutral games. I don't like neutral sites for certain games. I don't like that.
Right, yeah.
Like home. Now, Florida, Georgia is different. Texas, Oklahoma is different. But I will tell you this about Texas and Oklahoma. They don't got to like it. They might have to get used to coming to Atlanta. They might not like it. You want to come to the SEC? We got our own rules now. Because, Kevin, because what happens is when you start talking about college football and certain traditions and different things, look, if you were Johnny come lately and you think, hey, man, I think Arkansas, LSU, it's not going to have the same appeal. And I do think that college football is one of those things to where certain parts of the country is sacred. Other parts of the country, it just happens. The part of the country that it is sacred is in the Southeast. So when we start thinking about things, I do think the Iron Bowl, I do think the Egg Bowl, I do think Florida, Georgia, I do think Michigan, Ohio State, I do think what did I say? Oklahoma and Texas. But it ain't many anymore. That's what I'm saying. It ain't many. So I do think the home canvas is something. I don't like you mentioned something, when Georgia played Clemson and it was in Bank of America Stadium. What is this, the ACC championship? No. Let Georgia go to, Clemson. Let Clemson.
Well, to me, that's when you talk about what is worth saving college football. To me, that is, if we're going to put aside some traditions and some things that just are you're going to lose in terms of regionality and all that, to me, that is one that's got to, you can't have every big non-conference game be at a neutral site, right? You can't always go to Jerry World or go to Atlanta. Again, Clemson, Georgia Tech played in Atlanta. Georgia and Clemson didn't play in Athens or Clemson. They played in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And so that's something I like every year. And people have gotten into this idea of like, man, I love the first week of college football. You get all these neutral site games, and Alabama's playing over here in the Superdome, and it was like, I don't want to ever lose that feel of, hey, this is a big game in college football, and why is it big? Because we're stepping in to their Coliseum with their fans, all the fans going against us, and we're going to try to win a football game, and then they're going to come to our place, and they're going to try to do it. When we go fifth, and again, I get it. Georgia, Florida has been one of those things that's kind of been out there. I could listen to it for a couple of games. But I think when we start getting every big non-conference football game, it's like, hey, we're going to get Bama and Ohio State to play. Oh, we're going to play at Indianapolis, or we're going to play. Like, I prefer put it in the home venues and let it play, because to me, that's where you get the beauty of college football. To me, that is it. Where fans are into it. The tailgating, that's the traditions I think you're going to be able to best save, is game atmospheres, things of that nature that mean so much to college football. I think when everybody shows up, and I mean, I get what it's about. When everybody shows up downtown Atlanta and goes out to eat, and you go in half and half, it's a big game, and then you leave. The pregame tailgate, I love all of that about college football towns, even in big cities where they do it. To me, that is something that needs to be preserved. And the bigger you get, any big game, they're going to try to move it to a neutral site or move it to an indoor facility where it's like, hey, and I understand why you want to do that. To me, I just, there's already stuff to me that is taken, and I get it. Everybody wants the mega sound system. So much so that kind of the feel, the game day atmosphere with the band playing, like so much so that people complain about here in Rocky Top. I will say this. I saw Tennessee. This is just a few, 10, 12 years ago. Saw Tennessee, Georgia playing in Knoxville. I was like, oh, you're going to be getting sick of Rocky Top. The stadium was so loud with everything. Like, you could barely hear them. So you could barely hear them playing down there in the corner of the end zone. So, I think that's one of those things that I would like to get back to some of that, where you get more of the, hey, it's the band, it's the fans. Like, I don't need all the other stuff. I get why it's cool.
You listen, Kevin,
like when you turn the whole stadium red when you're Georgia and all them lights come on. I get it. It's cool.
I was there. I didn't go in the stadium. But I was there when Notre Dame played Georgia at Georgia. Think about that. Notre Dame has been to Georgia more than Texas A&M has, and Texas A&M was in the same conference. but think about this. This is what people don't. Add it to play. Just say, Texas, they got Arch Manning. They're going to Ole Miss.
Wait, well, case in point, what's Georgia's first game this year? Oregon. Are they playing in Athens?
No,
they're playing in Atlanta. They're playing in Atlanta.
And I will say this: we're going to have a distinction when it comes to certain stuff. Atlanta can't just be the scapegoat. Oh, we're going to go to Mercedes-Benz. Go to Mercedes. No. Because if it was the other way around, like that's kind of call it what it is. That's the SEC kind of throwing its weight around. Ain't nobody. If Oregon say, "Hey man, you want to go?" No, we don't want to. But I do think that creating certain things is incredible. When Arch Manning is at Texas and he comes to Ole Miss, Manning is coming. Arch Manning playing in Tennessee. Oh, we got a Manning. I think that kind of stuff does add to the. But when the SEC comes, you already know one game is going to be neutral. Well, first game of the year, Florida, Georgia. Everybody else, you already know it. We're going to each other's spot now. The floor, I would love to see Georgia in Autzen Stadium. Absolutely.
I would love that.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, right?
And vice versa.
That's what you're really getting. You've heard about the Texas atmosphere right in Austin. You want to know what it's like. So now you're going to, all those teams are going to Austin. Austin have heard about the Swampers, have heard about Between the Hedges, have heard about, Death Valley. They're going to come, that kind of stuff. Because we're like, hey man, what? LSU, yeah. Is at Oklahoma this weekend. Yeah. I mean, they're in Norman. Yeah. Like,
or they're playing at Jerry World. I mean, who knows?
Now, I will say this. You already now. Texas versus Arkansas. Arkansas has two stadiums. Arkansas is big as the.
Well, Arkansas already plays Texas A&M in Dallas at Jerry World. They don't even they already do that. Like I would, why that's not a home and home? Why are we doing this?
Because at the end of the day, man, I'm like, look, man, stop acting as if college football. I'm gonna say this. College football fans don't need help. They don't ask for neutral anything. What you doing that because of the whole ticket thing? No. If it's that Arkansas, sorry, Texas, you're not going to have more seats there.
Right, exactly.
And vice versa. It's supposed to, man, we think that no, Vince Young, it's not happening. So I am looking forward to some of these things that are already built in. But if I could do away anything, let's get rid of the neutral site.
Yeah.
College games supposed to be played in college stadiums. You know why? Because they're bigger.
A lot of them are.
Much bigger. Outside of FedEx Field, which we don't know what the hell is going on in D.C. and Washington.
I think they're trying to build one in like West Virginia now. No, I'm just kidding. But like they did have a stadium proposal that's like 50 minutes from downtown D.C. It's like, okay, whatever. It is what it is at this point. But no, college, as it gets bigger, I hope they hold on. Somebody's got to. And as we talked yesterday with Chris Gordy, who's looking out for stuff like that? Nobody. Nobody's looking out for stuff like that. We got more to come. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you along here, 3 and Out on this Thursday. Braves and Cardinals coming up later tonight. Braves trying to go for that sweep of the Cardinals. That would push them, Ben, to 10-3 in their last 13 games against teams with winning records. But I thought it was the weak schedule. We'll get to that. We'll get to that coming up in the final hour of the program. Ben has stumbled upon a raging debate.
I am.
That has taken over.
It has.
Social media. And again, like everything else, it is of the most vital importance.
It is. This comes down to the taste buds. The age-old debate, right?
Is this an age-old debate?
It is now. We're starting stuff. I mean, first is it flax? Is it flax or is it drums? It's flax. Anyway, is ranch better than blue cheese? The answer to me is yes. Blue cheese is nasty as hell. I don't care what no one says. I'm sorry, man. Blue cheese, I don't like blue cheese one bit. Blue cheese is made out of penicillin. Psyllium with an M, okay? I know what it sounds like. Penicillin. A mold.
Yeah, that doesn't sound, isn't blue cheese, isn't it spelled B-L-E-U, like, yeah, so it's like, that's the kind of, I can't eat it. I can't. I guess if I had to choose one, I would take ranch. I really don't care. I like ranch flavored stuff, but I don't care for ranch dressing, so I'm out of this.
I'll let all
you guys duke it out.
Blue cheese is a semi-soft cheese with a sharp, salty flavor. It is made with cultures that is edible mold penicillium, giving it spots of veins throughout the cheese in shades of blue or green. It carries a distinct smell either from the mold or from various specifically cultivated bacteria, such as, I can even say this, Brevibacterium linens, which also causes foot odor and human body odor. So look,
ranch is made in the Hidden Valley. We all know that.
it is.
So,
I'm just saying, blue cheese to me, and people saying blue cheese is better. No, it is not. No, it is not. And number one, it's spelled wrong and the reason why they spell it wrong because it comes from old. It's either blue. Is it blue cheese or green cheese? Sometimes say it be green. So you can look at the blue cheese. No, the green is good. Green is good. No, I don't want. I want my cheese white or yellow. I don't want them white with a hint of blue or green veins in them that come from penicillin. That could cause foot odor or body odor. So people are like, man, your feet stink, man. I just had them wings. What? I had the blue cheese. Oh. So hold on. So here it is.
You're saying kind of haphazard.
So when Kevin was talking earlier about his sons not liking mac and cheese, they get it from their daddy. Hey man, let me get the wing. I don't need nothing different, man. What? Nope, don't need nothing different, man. No. The greatest thing ever was Kevin goes, I don't really deal with ranch and blue cheese. Why? Because I don't eat salads. Because Kevin says we don't have salad. We have ranch or salad dressing with our salad. Because we literally every bite has ranch, vinaigrette, or some type of salad dressing on it. But the age-old debate, blue cheese or ranch, it is ranch. You can add me, it is ranch. At Pigskin Radio, it is ranch. Blue cheese, the fact that I know it comes from penicillin, a mold that causes, so now my feet stink because I had some blue cheese and I stink, period, because I ate blue cheese. So it gave me foot odor and body odor.
For now, the end of time, all I'm going to think of when I think about blue cheese is somebody like scraping something off somebody's foot. I'm done.
I'm just saying.
I know it's not that, but that's.
Think about it. You walk up to me, somebody says, man, your feet stink eating all that blue cheese, huh? Yep.
I'm growing some culture for the next batch.
Yes, we are using mold known as penicillin with an M, and it's gonna cause your feet to stink and your body to stink, but you're gonna tear them wings up. Yeah. So we gotta do the Kevin Thomas wings, no dipping sauce, none. But if you're gonna dip, there it is. What's gonna happen first? Kevin's gonna dip, or his sons are gonna eat mac and cheese.
I get like people that enjoy hot wings. They like that. Can I just generalize right now?
Yeah. Come on.
Right. People that eat hot wings like, oh, I get the nuclear. I like the hot stuff. You wimp.
And
then they get the have like 38 ranch. That's called diluting. You're not as tough as you think.
Oh yeah.
Hot wing guy. Just eat them.
Just eat them.
If you look, biggest part of I love hot stuff. Don't put any ranch or blue cheese. If you get them atomic nuclear melt my face, eat them as they come, like that. And when you start sweating, don't go for the blue cheese or ranch. No. Suck it up. Live with your choice.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's get right.
Live with your choice. Burn your face off. That's all.
Kevin say, listen. Kevin say, oh, I'm the wimp because no. You ate. Let me get six. Let me get 6 extra ranches. Why? Cause
those nuclear wings are burning my.
What they got some show on YouTube. They do that kind of stuff.
I say that because I know you do that. You get them like extra hot.
Oh, I'm gonna get. Oh.
You get them extra hot, and then you coat.
I'm gonna coat it. I'm gonna coat it.
In ranch, and I'm like.
I'm gonna coat it.
You even taste the hot.
Now one time, I'm not gonna say who. They stuck a blue cheese in there, and I'm like, something don't taste right about my wing. I'm like, y'all slipping on your pimping, man. What's going on? Then I look. I said, blue cheese. I said, number one, you spelled it wrong, and it's nasty. I said, well, we got some, we.
Say, why not just get mine? If you're gonna coat the whole thing.
I'm a coat it regard. I'm a coater.
Why not just get mine? You can't taste the hot sauce. Am I wrong?
I mean, yeah. Listen, I'm not one of those people. Listen, I like slightly spicy a little bit.
You go down in there.
Oh, I'm getting in there. I will stick, and when it's down to the bottom, I'm sticking my finger in there, and I'm just putting it on there.
When your wing comes out, it is not that orange color. It's white. It's covered with red.
And guess what? If I only had some vanilla ice cream, I would dip it in that. I don't care. No, I don't do like that. Listen, a hot wing, you can't eat but like 1 or 2. You could barely smell it. Like, oh no, sorry people, because as my granddaddy say, what goes in must come out, and I'm not dealing with it. I'm not.
Let's step aside. Welcome back. It is 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. A lot of college football talk still to come. The Braves playing really well right now. Ben, have a chance to sweep the Cardinals. And going back, I think they've won 9 of their last 10 against St. Louis. You go back to several years back, and the Mike Fulton-Avich game, and they gave up 10 runs in the playoff game. And people say, well, that was a long time ago. Well, if you remember in the COVID year where they only played 60 games, you only played your division, right? You only played the Eastern Division or teams that were in the American League East. So you didn't have to travel time zones and all that kind of stuff. So they didn't play the Cardinals. So since that game, I believe the Braves are 9-10 against the Cardinals. So payback coming in a big, big way. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit as well. College football, the changing landscape. Ben, want to get your thoughts on Notre Dame coming up. They are the big fish, but are they actually looking out for college football? Is their own? You're shaking your head. It's just something my strange brain thought about, and I want to bring it to the table.
Kevin's putting on his commissioner hat.
Is their own independence and their own self-interest actually good for college football right now? I'll give you my case. You can tell me I'm full of it and say, hey, if the price is right, they'll blow the whole thing up.
Oh, everything has a price now.
I get it, but I just want to bring that to the discussion. You know, everybody's Notre Dame. People love to hate on Notre Dame, right? I mean, because they march to the beat it.
That brand is serious.
They do. They march to the beat of their own drummer.
I don't know if they got a commissioner or AD or whatever.
AD.
He walks around in a gold robe with flip-flops on and says, I don't care how y'all feel about me. That's what he does. And his robe got a hood on it. He's just chilling.
No, look, man. Jack Swarbrick does a good job, I think, but I will lay out my case. Are they keeping some of this stuff from happening? Because the Big Ten, I mean, obviously they fielded phone calls from Oregon and Washington, and the response they got was, hold up, not yet. Not, hey, it's never going to happen. It was, hold up, not yet. Let us see what Notre Dame has to say about the situation. So if Notre Dame said no, might they actually be keeping college football in a better state? I didn't say it was the best state, but a better state. I'll lay out my case for that coming up in the final hour. Also, training camp start pretty soon, and I know we had a lot of, hey, could we be seeing Russell Wilson 2.0 going? Now Falcons fans are getting awful positive about something else. I want to run that by Ben coming up at the final hour of the program as well. It is 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We're coming right back. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio, also streaming live Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And go to our YouTube channel, ESPN Coastal, and follow us along there as well. We're coming right back, 3 and Out on this Thursday. Final hour of 3 and Out here on this Thursday. He has been Troop. I'm Kevin Thomas. Glad you are with us. We're talking Falcons training camp coming up very, very soon. The Braves, man, they are rocking and rolling. 2.5 games behind the Mets after last night's game and have a chance to sweep the Cardinals coming up tonight. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, I want to start off here. Is Notre Dame actually good for college football in what they're doing right now? And I know you were shaking your head and said no. But Notre Dame's, and again, people love to hate on Notre Dame. But if you are a traditionalist, if you are, hey, I want it to stay as regional as possible. I mean, the genie is already out of the bottle with USC and UCLA. They aren't going back. I get it. But if you are for college football not becoming a P2 and withering away on the vine, is Notre Dame actually doing a good thing by sticking to their guns, sticking to that Notre Dame arrogance that keeps them in the, but we're Notre Dame, we do what we want. No, Big Ten, we're not doing it. Aren't they what's keeping college football somewhat the way it is, keeping the ACC together? Because a lot of people think if Notre Dame dips on the ACC, Ben, who's sticking? Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten. Well, the SEC is not going to stand by and let that happen. You talk about probably the further destruction of the Pac-12 because Notre Dame would give the Big Ten 17 teams, and well, that just doesn't work, right? You don't want to have an odd number of teams. So Notre Dame maybe been single-handedly for the moment is keeping the Pac-12 and ACC afloat. It may even be keeping the Big 12 relevant at this point because at least there's something to hold on to there. The Big 12 now has teams they could probably go out and poach. But is Notre Dame's, you can call it arrogance if you want, actually saving the fabric of college football in that we're not seeing mega conferences just yet. We're not seeing the dissolution of power conferences in the name of money. Am I off base here, or could the team that everybody loves to hate actually be doing something that is good for the game? We asked earlier this week, who's watching out for the game of college football? Nobody. They're counting dollars. Could Notre Dame, I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose. I'm not saying like they're walking around with a banner of altruism. They're looking out for their own self-interest, but in their own self-interest, are they actually doing something that is going to benefit college football and keeping it as it is?
For now, yes. Like for right now, yes. This is what Notre Dame is doing. Notre Dame has the ultimate leverage. Notre Dame has already been highly sought after by the Big Ten. They told them no, right? They told them no.
Reportedly, yeah.
Reportedly, yeah. They told Mr. Warren no. Kevin Warren. I said Rick Warren earlier. That's totally reverse. Kevin Warren. I'm sorry. But this is the thing, Kevin. We already know this. Everybody, everything has a price. Notre Dame, we know right now, is keeping the ACC afloat, but they don't even want to participate in the ACC during, for football. The Pac-12.
Well, kind of. They play 5 games that aren't conference games, but they play 5 games. Yeah. But this
is the thing about Notre Dame. Notre Dame knows, hey, man, do we want to give up our individualities to kind of go with the confines of a conference? Because we have proven that we don't need one. But this is what Notre Dame is really saying. We don't need one as it's currently constituted. If you go to Power 2, we might need to be in one of them because we're going to play the teams that left. Well, that's not going to be saying much. Then we're not going to have the same negotiating tactic. No, dude, because we asked you to come over here, Big Ten, so we're not going to play you now. We're not going to give you access to us when you told us no. SEC, no, we asked you to come through. You said no. So go and play the Big 12. Go and play the Pac-12 or whatever's left of that, right? I just think that now, Kevin, yes, when you start talking about Notre Dame is saying, man, we're used to being able to move the way we want to move. We're not under the it's like if this is a state, we're a private school, right? Operating with all you public schools, you got to fall up under confines. No, we'll pick who we want to play. Deal with the consequences. Right now, Kevin, that's working. But just like I know, the days of four teams in the college football, because with Notre Dame, right? Right now, you don't have an image problem. I don't think you're ever really going to have one.
No.
But you want to show, hey, man, we just need to be in the college football playoff. We don't got to win it. Well, how do you get in if you're not in the conference? Oh, it's working now. Yeah.
But that's why I think for now, though, they are keeping it I mean, they're keeping it in a spot where, hey,
like this. If the Big Ten has reportedly been told no, I'm in the ACC.
Or is it no today? I don't know. But
and Greg Sankey, in the SEC, we like this. All right. What you offering? If you want me to come. Because I go back to this. Most of us in life have never, ever been in a situation to be highly sought after. So when you say, oh, I wouldn't, you don't know. You don't know. PGA, Live Tour. There's no way, right? Okay.
Yeah, and just this week, Rory McIlroy's like, maybe the Live and PGA Tour should sit down and talk it out.
Check this out. Because you know who Rory talks to behind the scenes? Other golfers. Hey, dude, it's really like that. Hey, and they're taking care of your caddy. What you mean? His whole family. You don't got, so they good.
I didn't mean to go off that. But
I'm just saying.
I did see a picture of the private plane that the Live golfers are traveling on. My God,
it is.
I think it's like an Airbus with a lounge in it and everything. I was like, oh yeah.
Think about this. And you make a great point when you say that.
Anyway,
see, all we see is on the surface stuff. We see the money, we see the prestige. We don't know what the perks. No, everything you do, if you're highly sought after, comes with perks, right? Lincoln Riley goes to USC. You know what was a perk? They got to buy both of his cribs in freaking Norman. You got to buy both of them. So that's $500,000 a piece. So that's an extra meal. Then he gets the crib out there. Now he's in the Big Ten. I'm telling you, Kevin, what Notre Dame is doing is saying, look, man, y'all want us, man. You got to tell us why. Because we're the one brand that everybody could use. Everybody can use this brand. Everybody. We talk about SEC Media Days, ACC Media Days, Big 10 Media Days, Big 12 Media Days, Pac-12 Media Days. Who gonna have Notre Dame there? Huh? And
no, I mean, I understand.
But Kevin, you are right. No, Notre Dame is doing it for selfish reasons, but it's still good for college
football.
You
can do things selfishly that benefit others. I mean,
of course.
And so I understand it's about, but I just look at it for as much distaste as Notre Dame gets from the college football fandom community out there, where it's like, and I get it. Hey, we do our own thing. We deserve special treatment. All the stuff that gets fans upset, right? Hey, why do you get special treatment to get into the college football playoff? Because we're Notre Dame. If you could do it, you would, right? And so, but them staying independent-ish, I think, is keeping the ACC together right now, and it's probably helping us not go to a P2 situation where everything's on the table and you could be talking about 20, 24 team super leagues that I think a lot of traditional college football fans aren't too excited about. So look at Notre Dame and say, hey, maybe you'll like them a little bit more today. I'm not saying you got to pull for them. I'm not saying you got to root for them to score touchdowns against your favorite team. But maybe you just take a step back and go, Notre Dame. Hey, by you being selfish, you are preserving some of this stuff out here, at least in the short term.
Here it is. Notre Dame is in the line. They got it's a premier to get in. Notre Dame's in the line. Oregon's in the line. Washington's in the line.
No, Notre Dame doesn't stand in any line.
No, they're trying to blend in. They're not dressed in their gold and blue, right? And somebody's walking in saying, sorry, all sold out, people. No more room. Oh, man. And they're walking away. And somebody goes, yo.
Wait a minute.
Notre Dame, wait a minute, man. Oh,
we just found a seat.
I'm sorry, man. Come on. And they got to walk. They walking by, so UW. They walking by Oklahoma State. They're walking by TCU. They're thinking, man, look, man. Because they go, and they say, man, how do you do that? Listen, and before they walk in, Notre Dame look back and say, because we know the day. And they walk, because that's what this is about. Like, Kevin, listen, that's what this is about. So Notre Dame is using, Notre Dame say this may be the last bit of, and Kevin, they want this, but they're going to say, think about it. Breaking news. Notre Dame is with so-and-so conference. That means just say certain schools say, oh, they wouldn't go to the SEC. That's a lie. Any team getting offered by the SEC is going to come. But once Notre Dame is there, they say, they just got, so we'll see what happens. But yes, I do like the fact that Notre Dame is kind of keeping the waters a lot less muddy. But when Greg Sankey goes, I want a meeting. All right. Let me take my robe off because I walk around with a robe, put on a suit, nice fresh suit. No, Kevin, I mean, you're right. Listen, the evil empire known as Notre Dame, they are kind of keeping college football afloat. But we talked to Matt Smith earlier, and Matt like, oh God, We're gonna have to go to a conference. We're gonna have to, follow the rules. Man doesn't because man like having leverage. Man like saying we don't.
I get it, but I just look at it as like if you are a college football traditionalist and you are not too keen on mega conferences and hey, we're gonna have a team from Rutgers playing in California regularly, and who the heck knows what that means, because everybody knows, even if you're the SEC, right? If the Big Ten goes bigger, you go bigger, right? You're kind of tied at this point. So do you go national if you're the SEC, or can you be regional national, which I think they could?
Yeah.
Because in this
so
thing,
many options.
And it's true. I mean, it's so many things. Like Notre Dame is the thing, but Notre Dame sticking where they're at for the time being. I think because you see all kind of speculation, and I think a lot of people look at it in on the field situation. And I think Matt said something that's kind of interesting. Relatively speaking, Clemson and Florida State, they're new money, right? Bama, Tennessee, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, they're old money. They've had it for a long, long time. And so when you hear things like, I've seen it, where you're like, well, why would the SEC go after Virginia? Why would they go after North Carolina? They're only good in basketball. It still ain't even about that.
Nope.
Look around your league, and you want to talk about fitting in to the culture, to the league, to the brand, as Ben talked about the brand. Start naming off the teams of the SEC, take one hard look, and then say North Carolina, Virginia. You literally have the flagship school in every single state in the South.
Yep.
Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi. Well, LSU is the biggest one in Louisiana.
And you got
Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas.
Hold on.
You literally have them all.
What does the SEC have? And people don't got to like it. The SEC has the flagship universities and the biggest brand. What do you mean? Georgia ain't no bigger brand than the Falcons. Yes, they are.
I'm saying, but
like you say, Kevin, it's one of those things. Say, look, man, we want the universities, the flagship universities in these cities, in these states.
Yeah,
and it's like you say, it just goes with it. People say they're only good in basketball. Okay,
it's still the University of North Carolina. These states.
We got the University of Virginia. We got the University of North Carolina. We got the University of Florida. We got the University, of Mississippi. We got Mississippi State University. We got Auburn University. We got, University of Alabama, University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, University of Texas, University of Oklahoma. I'm telling you.
You have the biggest, baddest brand in every state.
And Greg Sankey finna get in shape and take a picture, flexing on everybody. He should. Because he's the man right now.
Yep. I think he's going to have a heck of a State of the Union coming up at SEC Media Days in a couple of weeks. We'll come back. Speaking of a couple of weeks, training camp's going to get started. Could the Falcons be flexing on anybody? We'll see. I'm starting to see some Falcons fans been starting to feel them a little bit. Again, it's the season of optimism. So we're going to tap into that. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and out on this Thursday. Braves and Cardinals coming up. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But Ben, we heard a lot of folks talking about the young man out of Cincinnati playing quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, giving everybody Russell Wilson vibes. We said, calm down. Now we're a couple of weeks out from training camp, starting to see Falcons fans out there on the social media. Some of them starting to feel themselves a little bit.
Talking a little trash.
Say low key. Could this Falcons team be like okay on defense? Is Terry Fontenot putting in some quiet work, getting solid defensive guys on the cheap that could come in and play? What say you, Ben? Is this another summer optimism? Or when you look at guys like Lorenzo Carter, Kwiatkowski, some of those other guys that have come in on a cheap, can you have a decent defense with guys who are still, as you said, playing for their NFL careers there on that Atlanta Falcons defense?
Yes.
Are you buying it, though? Are they down? Could they down low be good? Like I say good, like could they be like top 20 on defense? Like
that's a low key. Like I don't know what the lowest key is on the piano, but it's way down there. I will say this, though. Terry Fontenot was in a very, very like he was in a squeeze. He have no money to work with. So you go get Lorenzo Carter. Right, I think had 8.5 sacks, something like that last year with the Giants. You'll get a Casey Hayward, Georgia native, right? Coming back home, has had a stellar career, former Pro Bowler. You'll get a Tease Tabor, former second-round pick out of Florida, kind of trying to find his niche. So now you got a corner to go on the other side of A.J. Terrell in Casey Hayward, and you got a guy in Tease Tabor who can play the corner position and the slot position. Okay. You go out there and you get a guy like Eddie Goldman. I think 7-year veteran out of Florida State, big D tackle to kind of go along with Grady Jarrett. All right. Okay. You're starting to get me a little bit. All right, cool. Deion Jones is going to be a piece. Is he going to be a camp casualty because of the salary cap hit? Probably, but if you can get him, okay. Here it is, though. Here it is. Troy Anderson.
This is where you're bad or good? This
is where the question mark is, right? All right, key contributors, right? Arnold Ebigiti. Right? All right, out of Penn State. He's going to be a starter, right? You start talking about Troy Anderson, very raw linebacker position. You start talking about D'Angelo Malone, outside linebacker. Now, you're going to have to get production from rookies. But rookies that's going to have veterans, if Tease Tabor, Casey Hayward, Goldman, Marlon Davidson out of Auburn. The thing about it is this. A guy that has not been productive doesn't mean he can't be super productive. I can see what people are saying is. I can see why they're saying low-key. Lorenzo Carter, all right, man, he needs to be in the system that he's going to be the guy. So we're going to put you in a position to where you're going to be the guy on third down. Grady Jarrett got a big body next to him. Marlon Davidson, you talk about Goldman. Okay, we've addressed that. Deion Jones going to have to help Anderson and company. You know what I'm saying? D'Angelo Malone is going to have to learn from Lorenzo Carter. Casey Hayward is going to be able to help A.J. Terrell take his game to the next level. You know what I haven't mentioned? Haven't mentioned safety. See, the thing about the Falcons defense is you need it on all three levels. You need D-line, you need linebackers, you need secondary. Now, A.J. Terrell has proven top 5 talent. Well, they got the hell beat out of him last year with him on that defense. He did his thing. He's one guy. What about the other 10 guys? The safety position is going to have to get shored up. Kevin Grant and company, they're going to have to grow up. They're going to have to go out there and, get good in a hurry. Now, the word here is low-key good. Low-key means low expectations.
Right.
But, Kevin, you say in the 20s, if the Falcons can be in the 20s, that would be a quantum leap.
Under 20, yeah. Yeah, I guess the 15 to 20 range.
If they can get from 15 to 20, that's complimentary defense. That's complimentary. For an offense that, let's face it, we don't know what's going to be going on over there. Right. So, if I could get contributor from a D-line that can get off on third down, that can rush the passer, that can come on, man, act like you want to stop the run. Jesus, like act like you want to stop it. You can stop the run. You can force teams into, non-manageable third downs, like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, not 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. You're getting off the field. A.J. Terrell, I think, is going to just keep on flourishing in his role. As I mentioned, Casey Hayward is coming. He's done it on several teams. T. Tabor, fighting for his NFL life. Lorenzo Carter, fighting for his NFL life. Deion Jones could be fighting for his NFL life. But those guys are going to have to step in and help these young guys. Grant, in the safety position, they're going to have to find a way to really, really make some strides. Because Kevin, it won't mean nothing if you got a bad secondary, and I mean the safeties. Now, if the safeties can play good football, because now you're going to have cornerbacks that are going to be telling you, look, man, I got your back. But you guys got to be ready to come up and make tackles. Cover tight ends. Cover guys in the slot. If that can happen, who knows? Because the best defense, I think, in the NFC South, it might be the Saints, because they just added, they got Cameron Jordan, they got freaking Honey Badger, they got they got, I can't remember who they just added, but they've been adding guys all around, but Chauncey Gardner, Johnson, those guys. But Kevin, once again, this is about being able to say that we are a low-key defense is good enough to win you a game. Meaning, it's 23-20. You playing the Saints, you need to stop. Right? You need to stop. So that means, if this is the game, AJ Terrell, he's probably on Michael Thomas. Right? Casey Hayward, he's on the Live A. Right? That means that Teez Tabor, he's got to stop Jarvis Landry. Deion Jones or Anderson or whatever, they're going to have to stop Alvin Kamara. This is how it comes down. And if Jameis Winston picks up the first down, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. But I just think that, Kevin, that's for football is I get certain guys for certain things. Teez, can you cover in the slot? Yeah. That means you're going to have Jarvis Landry and company, man. Those are guys you're going to have. All right, Casey, do you got a couple of years left in you? I don't need you to be all pro, Casey Hayward, but I need you to be very, very solid. Yep, all pro is AJ Terrell. He's going to get the best receiver on every team. He's going to get Mike Williams, so on and so forth, right? I just think that now, Kevin, when you start thinking about this Falcons defense, they get certain guys. Troy Anderson, he's raw, but he's athletic. I can run, I can hit. I just got to learn how to play the position. I got to learn to play the scheme. Because if I do, I can go out there and do it the best of them. Lorenzo Carter, hey, can you give me double-digit sacks? Elite status in the NFL is double-digit sacks if you are a DN outside linebacker. The hardest thing to do is double-digit sacks. 10 sacks, yes. It is incredibly difficult. Kevin, did we go through the list? I said, look, man, out of 64, I think 10 of them, 11 of them had double digits. And then it went from 12, 13, 9 to 6, 5. It's hard. It's hard to do. So if they can get some guys to learn the system in a hurry, they got a shot to be good, because they're getting veterans with rookies with athleticism, knowledge, wisdom, understand the game. That's how you win. You need a blend of, look at the Braves. Older talent, young talent, personalities, culture, winning. Falcons, I don't know. They don't have a culture right now. Like they just don't. So while they're building a culture, let's put some young guys. And for a defense or a team that has no money, Terry Fontenot has done a hell of a job. I mean, Eddie Goldman coming over from the Bears, huge. Marlon Davidson got to grow up, right? Grant got to grow up, right? Lorenzo Carter, hey, fighting for your football life. You want to quote really get your mama a house, where you're gonna have to go out there and get an extension to where you getting, because 1 year deals mean, hey man, we'll give you a little something. That's about it. So obviously, Kevin, my buying is I have to.
How many of those guys have to play above themselves for that to happen, in your estimation? Again, because
you know what's crazy?
Basically, what I'm getting at is when you hear people say that, how much of that is wishful thinking versus the reality of where they're
Marlon
at?
Davidson gonna have to play above what he has been, because he's the youngest D tackle. He's 23, 24 years old, right?
Right.
Grady Jarrett just got to stay consistent. If Deion Jones is there, he got to not only play well, he got the mentor. I think Casey Hayward.
Like, do you expect Lorenzo Carter to come in and push for double-digit sacks?
Yes.
I'm saying, I say that because nobody else has done it really in a long time.
What happens is, Kevin, double-digit sacks means I'm winning more than I have winning snaps more than losing snaps when you talk about rushing the passer. The Bosa brothers, they don't win every snap, but it feels like they do, because those quarterbacks, they cannot make a mistake. They're going to push the pocket. They're going to force the quarterback to step up in the pocket. If the quarterback tries to get outside the pocket, they're going to be there. And if that tackle makes a mistake, that's a sack. Those are elite pass rush. Elite pass rushes, hey, man, you better have an elite tackle or it's going to be a long day for your quarterback. Lorenzo's kind of in that, he's kind of in that role to where that you haven't really seen a long time with the Falcons, and that's having a consistent pass rusher. Consistent on the outside means guys on the inside get to eat. Grady Jarrett is very, very underrated type of player he is, stopping the run and the pass. Sure. Goldman is going to help out with that. Marlon Davidson needs you to grow up. I think if Deion Jones is not there, it's going to be a struggle because Anderson, and D'Angelo Malone, they're going to have to learn the position. Malone's going to have to learn it from Lorenzo Carter, and obviously, but a guy that's going to have to really step up though, Lorenzo Carter, Ebigiti. You gonna have to grow up as a. I'm not saying now you'll take double-digit sacks, but how
many rookies come in and realistically, you're going to get bodied by Pro Bowl tackles,
Michael
right?
Parsons.
I understand that, but most of those guys are going to.
You know what it is? Even like the Chase Youngs of the world or the Javon Curses of the world. The reason why these guys are able to first is because the guys around them are good. So I think.
All right. So who around him is good right now for the Falcons?
Lorenzo Carter is good. I think he can help Ebigiti understand that. Look, dude, my job is to show you how to win. Like this is what you have to win. Football is how many reps do I win? Meaning I don't always get the sack, but if I'm almost touching that quarterback, I'm making him react quicker. Like it ain't always get the sack. Me, I beat my man and the quarterback held the ball long enough. A great pass rush me, I got to get it out. Like Reggie White. Simeon Rice, the guys that's really did it, and they did it at a consistent level. That means that, hey, I'm in this quarterback's head. If he holds this rock, I got him. That's a great pass. Von Miller, you can't hold it. Aaron Donald, you can't hold a rock, because if you do, it's going to be a problem. Either you so worried about me that you don't feel the pocket closing in on you, or I'm so worried about the pocket closing in on me, I'm getting sacked right here in front of me. Grady Jarrett's going to give you consistent pass rush. Marlon Davidson, got to grow up. And I'm giving you more coaching speak. Coaches say, man, you got to grow up, man. We pay you too much money for you to just be out there. Right? You went to Auburn, right? Yeah, but that ain't Auburn. We need you to go out there and get to the quarterback. Because, Kevin, if Grady Jarrett can get some consistent help from Ebigiti, from Lorenzo Carter, he got guys behind him now like A.J. Terrell, Casey Hayward, Tease Tabor. They got a shot to be okay. Because when expectations are low, play can be very high. Because everybody expects you to do something. Hopefully they'll use it as a motivation, because the same Falcons team, even though it's different, are the reason why the Saints did not make the playoffs, because they beat them at their place. Even though the Saints won at home, won at the Falcons' place last game of the year. That's how you got to look at it. Meaning, we're playing spoiler. Somebody's going to win the division. There will be no wild cards. Meaning, if we don't get in, the Panthers, we don't want to be bottom feeders, and we want to let the Saints know. I know y'all got a dome down there. We got a dome over here. Let's see who the battle of the dome. Let's see who's gonna make it.
See
happen.
Who comes out on top. Yeah. We got more to come here. It is 3-and-Out Braves and Cardinals coming up here in just a little bit. Braves, they are on a roll, going for a sweep tonight. We'll break it down next. It's 3-and-Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here. It is 3 and Out on this Thursday. Braves and Cardinals coming up tonight. 6:05 we'll have pregame coverage. Braves win it 3-0 last night. Max Fried does Max Fried things. 6 innings, no runs. And again, that old sage saying, Ben, if the other team doesn't score, well, you got a pretty good chance at winning. And the Braves did it last night. They win 3-0, 2.5 games. They stay behind the Mets, continue to play well. Again, Mets fans, if you're out there, I thought it was the Braves' soft schedule as to why they were playing so well. But since that kind of soft schedule came to a close, Braves are 9-3 in their last 12 against teams with winning records. So push that narrative aside. And you also had, obviously, you're in the Cardinals' heads a little bit. Miles Mikolas, who is the starting pitcher, going after the game saying, look, I'm not trying to say anything, but, and then you're going to say something that makes you sound ridiculous. He was talking about the Braves stepping out and saying, look, I thought we have a pitcher's clock. Is there a hitter's clock? They're in there, but I'm ready. And since then, everybody's like, what are you talking about? This was like the fastest game the Cardinals have played all year. And so now, are you in the Cardinals' heads a little bit, Ben? You've won 9 out of 10 against the last 10 against the Cardinals and a chance to go for the sweep tonight.
Yes, of course you are. Because, I mean, when pitchers are making nonsensical type remarks, and obviously they got to listen, they got to hear them out. They sounding like, dude, what are you talking about? This is the quickest game ever. 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's a solid day, right? And then when you start talking about this Braves team, is they've had their way with this Cardinals team. Like, so the last thing you want is a team to be in your head, and the Braves are. Hopefully they stick to their winning ways, Kevin. And like I say, contributions from so many guys all around, and momentum is a real thing. Culture is a real thing, and the thing about this Braves team, Kevin, is look, Max Fried, one of the best in the league, one of the best in the bigs, right? You look at Rosario, he's making contributions coming back. You look at what guys like Travis d'Arnaud means. I mean, you look at what guys like Dansby Swanson doing, Matt Olson are doing, Austin Riley. When you have a team, when you have a batting order like this, meaning I go into the game saying today could be my night, but even if I'm not, it's going to be somebody's. What makes the Braves scary is somebody go, look, man, they can have back-to-back jacks. That's enough to win the game, right? 3-0. It is hard to keep a team in the bigs from scoring. That is hard to do. So I think for a team in the Cardinals, it's very, very respectable. I think they said yesterday or something like that, Albert Pujols is the oldest player in the bigs, and Michael Harris is the youngest player.
That's right.
I think Michael Harris is like so many days old when Albert Pujols.
Was he even in this world when Albert Pujols started playing Major League?
It's a home run, probably Albert Pujols. But I just think that when I look at this Braves team, once again, their culture is infectious. How can Michael Harris come on the team, never played in AA, never played in AAA, and have the type of impact? Because they said, do what you do. What does he do? Watch him out there in center field. And obviously, you see what he's doing with his bat. Dansby Swanson can't even remember that he started off the season horrendous. Best shortstop in baseball. You don't got to like it. The numbers prove that. Matt Olson. We don't even talk about Freddie Freeman. Thank God we didn't play the Dodgers anymore. I couldn't even deal with that. Austin Riley has proven, Kevin, that he's not just a one-season wonder with the season he had last year. And Ozzie is hurt right now. So all I'm saying is when you look at this Braves lineup, once we realize that Ozuna does not belong in the outfield, he does not.
Yeah, there's so many other options. He doesn't need to be
but you still winning, Kevin. Like I said, maybe they're trying to do in July what they did in June, which I would love that. You saw what they did in June. If they can keep them winning ways in July, I know we're getting close to the All-Star game, but pre-All-Star game, I think they're getting it done. And to those Mets fans, hey, man, y'all knew this NL East wasn't just going to be handed to you guys. We'll see what happens. I think the second half of the season is going to be incredible.
I think I saw it today. The Braves are 26-7 in their last 33 games. That is a heck of a streak that you were on. And again, it's all setting up next week. You come out of the weekend, come Monday, it's Braves and Mets, Ben, and you're right there before the All-Star break playing the New York Mets. And again, you took over first place towards the end of July last year and ran away with it. Here we are coming up on the All-Star break again. If this thing is a game and a half, 2.5 games going into that Mets series, and you pass the Mets right before the All-Star break, might that be some kind of momentum pushing you into the second half? And as we've talked about, this team's going to add, and you don't have to go out and mortgage the future to add. You're going to add through just guys getting healthy. Tyler Matzik just came out back, pitched tremendously well. Eddie Rosario got his eyes. I don't know what they did to his eyes, but it worked. He has come out and really played like a completely different player since coming back. You're going to get Ozzie Albies back probably in September. Again, if not for Spencer Strider, like blowing through the most innings he's ever pitched in his career, as you said, you're not even thinking about Mike Soroka having to come back. At one point early in the season, you're like, man, he might need to get healthy sooner rather than later so you can get another veteran presence in that rotation. You haven't really heard a whole lot about, hey, we need to get him back. Like, they want him back, but as far as rushing him back,
yes,
that conversation hasn't really been had.
Which is great
sure.
for him. But it's torture for him mentally. I get it, but Kevin, like we said, as great as this pitching staff is, led by Max Fried, you get a chance to potentially add a Mike Soroka to where, look, man, we're gonna say the same thing we told Acuna. We're gonna work you back slowly, man. There's no rush to get you back because we want to make sure that when you're back in the lineup, you stay in it. Because
right, yeah.
I don't know what happened. We started talking about his injury, but that's how great the Braves are. Mike Soroka hasn't been heard from in almost 2 calendar years, and that's not his fault. Won the World Series without freaking Acuna. Like, these things don't happen. So to these people saying all the thing about the Braves are a part of the MLB fabric. You don't got to like it. Most franchises, pro franchises, you're never going to see them win anything. Not the World Series, not the Super Bowl. The Braves, I'm sorry, man. The way in which they're doing it. And thank God for Snit with his, Snit got this, even if he's happy, he got the smile to show it. He going to be like, we still can get better, And to me, that's a sign of a good manager of saying, but behind the scenes, Snit's grandkids, yes, he does have grandkids. I don't have to, yes. They're saying, Grandpa, man, hey, listen, Michael Harris, because like you said, Kevin, listen, Acuna is still out of this world. Like, top vote getter going to start in an All-Star game. But Michael Harris, if he had been on the team a month and a half earlier, you think he could have potentially became an All-Star depending on how he's playing?
Maybe so. I think, again, as he plays the rest of the season, if the Braves have another postseason run in him and he plays well in the postseason, I think you'll see that star rise up there. Maybe defensively, he's already surpassed any expectations. I know people get into defensive metrics and, all the nerd stats. I don't want to dive into that, head first, bore everybody to death talking about defensive WAR and all that. But he has blown past any projections for what he is saving you out there in the field playing defense. And you can see it. Like, I don't need a defensive WAR stat telling me that Andrew Jones is good. I can see it, right? I don't need a defensive WAR stat. I mean, it puts things in perspective, I guess, but I don't need a defensive WAR stat to tell me what Michael Harris is saving me out there night in and night out. I can see it with my 2 eyes. Chasing down balls in the gap, balls that Adam Duvall's not tracking down if he was still playing center field. Balls that, again, maybe Acuna gets there, maybe not. But you can see with your 2 eyeballs what he's bringing to the table. And as you said, Ben, when you come to a team like Atlanta that is stacked with talent, what outside of professional pressure, like, hey, I'm 21 years old and I'm in the big leagues. Like, Michael Harris isn't coming up to be the savior of the franchise, right? When you look around, like, when Acuna came up, Acuna was like, this is that dude. He's going to come up and put us to the next level. That was the talking points, right? Like, Acuna's going to come up. You ain't never seen anything like this kid. He's going to take us to the next level. You don't hear that with Michael Harris. He is a great player, and I think he's been given that freedom.
Yeah.
Like, as you said, just play your game. You look around Major League Baseball. The Orioles have 5 of the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball. They are all playing on the Orioles right now, and the Orioles are pushing towards 500. And a lot of people are going, man, we didn't see this coming. But they're putting all those guys in the lineup saying, we have to win with you right now, or we're going to try to play. So they're having to do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to.
No.
If he has a good game, great. If he goes 0 for 4, you know what? And that's probably fine too.
That says a lot.
And so for him to be able to come up and say, look, we're not most number 1 prospects when they get called up. It is, you're here. Maybe you're going to grow in this role, but you're here because you're a stud. Bryce Harper gets called up. They didn't bring up Bryce Harper to say, hey man, well, you're really good. Just work it out. No, you're a stud. You're a franchise player. We need you to play well so we can go to that next level.
Yes.
They're not telling him, maybe way behind the scenes, but with this roster, he doesn't need to be that.
But he's still, the hardest thing to do in any sport is to stand out. It's to not just embrace your role, but to show that your role matters. You know who we really don't talk about? And it's only been a year. the same position that Michael Harris is playing, that was supposed to be Christian Pache. We don't
That's
even
true.
talk about Christian Pache, Mister. You see. They
Yeah,
say, Michael
I'm
Harris,
wearing
what number you want?
Not Andrew Jones.
You see what I'm saying? Because and the thing is, Andrew Jones validated. That's a nice catch. I think, Kevin, it's something. When I come on a loaded roster, and they come to me saying, "Look, just do you, youngin. What? Just go out there and do you. You the youngest. You're the youngest player in MLB. You're the youngest, right? I know it ain't like the Braves roster just full of 30-some-year-olds, about
Right.
22, 23, 24. But, Kevin, I look at Michael Harris like this. If they didn't tell you he was new, just got here, could you tell? And the answer was no. They would have to say, that's the guy that just got here. What do you mean? When Austin Riley burst on the scene, somebody take that guy just because he was going yard a lot. And I think that's what makes a good roster. We got guys, man, that they specialize in certain. So what do you mean? Oh, when it comes to the center field, he's a center field specialist. Watch him. He makes catches that great center fielders is gonna probably be a base hit. That's what he does. So I like his addition. Goroff, be that. Look, you were right. You said it.
He said, give him a couple weeks. It's going to turn the corner.
And it only makes everybody else better when you say, look, man, we all get to shine, with what we do defensively, what we do, what I'm saying, at the plate. And we're a freaking good team. The fact that we're a good team doing it matters. Because you don't want to be a great player on a bad team because your efforts are not going to be, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. So, hey, I love it. Because I think that like you say, Kevin, maybe the Michael Harris of the world, maybe the Ronald Acuna Jr. of the world, maybe they're helping guys get called up quicker on other teams. Like, dude, why wait anymore?
Yeah.
If we stink, let us go ahead and get some of these guys because Ian Anderson already has postseason experience. You know why? Because he got called up during the COVID year. And I know BJ, it's too early. No, the guy got called up. First game was against the Yankees. Second game was against the freaking Red Sox. He's ready. he can handle the postseason.
Yeah, he's ready. Look, I'm excited to see where that kid continues to develop and takes it. Braves and Cardinals coming up. Braves going for 4 in a row and try to sweep them on out of Atlanta. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Oh, good to have you along here on this Thursday. Braves and Cardinals coming up here in just a little bit, actually about 8 minutes or so from right now. We'll have coverage for you as the Braves go for the sweep. Spencer Strider, always enjoy watching him throw the baseball at 100 miles an hour.
Let's do it.
Well,
please don't waste his start, man. He always pitches well. We end up winning.
Why are you putting that
I'm not putting
that vibe out there?
The stash.
You're like, don't waste it.
Don't waste
it. Can we get to the game?
And we don't talk about him enough.
Well, I think he's going to play a key role if he doesn't get shut down due to innings limits. He's going to blow past as much as he's pitched in his career. We'll have that for you coming up next. Appreciate Matt Smith joining us. We'll see you tomorrow here on 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network.